Sketch the graph of y equals 2 secant of 1/2 x minus 3. We start by graphing the corresponding, the reciprocal function of this, which is this cosine. So copy everything down, but change that now to a cosine function. We're going to start by graphing that. So we're going to go through and find all of our key features. So we go through and identify our amplitude. Our amplitude is going to be 2. And our midline, the midline is y equals this number out here, then -3. The maximum is the midline plus the amplitude, so -1. And the minimum is the midline minus the amplitude, so that's going to be -5. The period is 2 pi over the absolute value of b, so over 1/2. And we get 4 pi for our period. And then our phase shift, that is c over b, but c is 0. There's nothing being subtracted from just this x, so our phase shift is. Now I'm going to choose my scale, and I'm going to be careful about this. The period is 4 pi, and so I'm going to make sure that kind of fits. So I'm going to put, I'm just going to make each of these boxes a pi. So that'll be pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. That's going to be 4 pi. And our maximum and minimum are -5 and -1. And that's of the cosine. And I know that the secant I'm going to end up kind of flipping and go further. So I'm going to actually kind of squeeze this down. I'm going to have that be -1, that be -2. Okay. And that's going to kind of help to kind of fit the graph. Okay. So these boxes on the vertical are going by 2s. All right, so we are ready to start graphing the cosine function. So for the cosine function, our midline is at y equals -3. That's down here. The starting point for the cosine is at a maximum or a minimum. Since a is positive, it's going to start at a maximum. The x-coordinate is 0, y-coordinate is -1. So that's going to be this point right here. And the ending point is just moving the period over. So from there we move 4 pi, and there's our ending point. And halfway between those, which is at 2 pi, we have our minimum, which is at -. So the minimum there. And then we can kind of sketch our cosine function. And you don't have to be, super perfect, but we can at least try to be careful as we do this. So there's the sketch of this cosine function. But that's not what we want. We want the secant. And so to get the secant graph, we will sketch our asymptotes. And you get asymptotes everywhere where this touches the midline. So we're going to have an asymptote over here, and here, and here. Everywhere where that cosine function touches the midline. It's where we have a vertical asymptote for the secant. And then that was kind of off. And then every maximum or minimum point of this cosine function that we've drawn flips around. It's a point on the secant, but now it goes in the opposite direction, following those asymptotes. So that maximum turned into a minimum. This minimum turns into a maximum of the secant. This maximum turns into a minimum, and so on. And so you just flip each of those points and follow those vertical asymptotes that you